Hi friends, welcome back to my little art studio. Today, I'm going to share my experience of trying out the Kuretake Granulating Colors from the Cosmic series. The set of 5 colors comes in this little box, and they give an extra empty full pan to activate the pigments. As such, these full pans look really dark, and it's difficult to identify right away which one is which color. But they have the name and the number of the color written out on the packaging, and true to the Kuretake style, it's also written at the bottom of the full pan. I'm going to be using these ceramic dipping bowls to activate these granulating paints. And I'm going to keep this empty pan away. There are many creators I've learned from and been inspired from on YouTube on how they've used granulating paints. One of the channels is Diane Anton's Studio, and I first learned about this way of activating in a separate bowl from her video. So thank you, Diane. So the first color here is Cosmic Red. It's a highly concentrated semi-transparent and granulating watercolor that separates into shades of magenta, rose or cherry red, and peachy yellow-orange. The second one is Cosmic Olive. On the face of it, this looks like a dark muted tone, but it splits into deep olive or a brownish green and a purple hue as it dries. The next one is Cosmic Green, which is more like a cobalt blue-green, but it's probably one of the colors which least separates in my view. The next one is my favorite, and it's called Cosmic Blue. It's a dark pigmented blue when activated with water, and slowly separates out into this moody grayish blue and a yellow-brown pigment as a softer highlight. You'll see as it dries. The last one is Cosmic Violet, which is such a bright color. When left for some time, it gradually separates beautifully into bright pink and blue-green colors. So, as you can see here, already having left it for some time, the colors have started to separate. And it's such a visual delight to see these granulating pigments come alive. The longer I leave these pans, the more the pigments will dry up in a separated state. So one of the most surprising things for me was the experience of swatching these on hot pressed paper. I have read mixed reviews on the kind of paper, whether cold pressed, textured or hot pressed, that works best for this granulating set. It really depends on the visual effect you're going for, and I wanted stark lines of separation between the pigments and decided to swatch on hot pressed paper. So I'm using BRUSTRO's 25% cotton hot pressed A4 paper. And before swatching, I basically again activated the full pan with water, as well as loaded my brush with water. After having swatched a round circle, I basically just went in and spritzed it from top using the spray bottle, and then let the pigment do what it does best. One of the prerequisites of successful separation of granulating paints is you need lots of water on the page and on the brush, and time to allow the pigments to separate. You can tilt the paper in different directions to make the paint run. I didn't want neat circles. I really wanted the drama and the visual effect to be loud. So I let the water spray push the paint around and out of boundaries. What I've understood is granulating paints basically work on the principle of different pigments ground to different particle size. Typically, heavier particles settle down in the paper's valleys, while the lighter ones remain on the surface and can be moved around easier. Gravity, surface tension also play a role. In some granulating paints, one pigment could tend to push the other out towards the edges. Or, in some cases, there's a very clean and uniform separation of the colors within the swatches itself. Each granulation recipe can be different, and depending on the particle sizes and what the constituent pigments are, along with texture of paper, they could have varied effects. I was just having fun here. I was not worried about where the paint was running off to, and I just wanted to see the best of granulating effect. Like I've said, I love this cosmic blue. You can even form these really light blues, which are great for moody skies. And then you will start to see there's almost this orange-brown kind of a color, which is also a part of this granulating paint that starts to separate out. I'm trying to push the edges and let the paint run because it won't granulate much with it sitting in a pool. It needs to run out and find new surface to separate. And here you can see there's a lovely blue-green at the base and some striking pink particles as highlights. And the last swatch is basically a combination of cosmic green and cosmic pink. Just look at these beautiful colors and how these granulating paints separate. Each one, as you see, behaves differently. This whimsical but dreamy behavior of these granulating paints is something that one could learn over time to partly control and make it work in your favor for compositions. This was my first try. I had so much fun with these granulating paints that I just kept experimenting and playing with it the whole day and learning from my experiences. I definitely feel that I enjoyed this more on hot press paper and less on cold press paper, something that contradicts most of what I read online. I wonder why. I loved creating just these loose watercolor bookmarks. On some I used mixed media like soft pastel pencils and white marker to outline the shapes that were dominant, like this mystical creature in a forest. This is how I did a few other bookmarks. I chose one of the colors and activated it with water to form the backdrop, and then I let it dry. Just see the effect on its own. You don't really need to do anything much. You can write a quote on it, you can put a small doodle. I've just gone in here with my fleeting florals designs and created some wildflowers, and you can too. You can also activate it more with water and let it run for a distressed look. In these bookmarks, I've used mixed media again to create the final outlines. Friends, I hope you enjoyed this little video. Let me know in the comments section if you've used granulating paints from Kuretake or any other brand and what your experience has been. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, happy painting!